because, you know, sometimes those, once again, your community, your tribe, your people who you work with, sometimes people have got really good referrals. And that's how I've had so many of my clients over the years. I've had people say, well, by the time the third person recommended you, I figured it was time to come and see you. So firstly, look to your tribe, look to your family, look to your, you know, and sort of, and even throw it out to your Facebook community, because sometimes they will have someone locally who they will love and refer to. There are, like, my association is ATMS, the Australian Traditional Medicine Society. So you can actually look up there, put in your postcode, and sort of find who's available in that area. There's another one called Natural Therapies pages. And they also have, you put in your postcode and what you want, and they'll sort of recommend a few people. If people do contact me, I actually do go to a little bit of effort to try to find people in their world, you know, if I can, or if I know someone. And especially depending on what, you know, because a lot of people specialize in something different, you know, so a naturopath who specializes in weight loss may not really know very much about anxiety, depression. So it's sort of good to have someone who is targeted in that. And a lot of people, especially kinesiologists who work in the brain, they're the sort of people who might actually also know naturopaths who they work with, because if they're just a kinesiologist, they won't have the natural therapies as well. So yeah, I'm always happy to support people in finding a good practitioner, and yeah, feel free to message me.
I did think of what I wanted to ask you, and that was about diagnosis of anxiety and depression. So traditionally, obviously, when you go to a doctor, there's no test as such.
No, there's no test, and that's the problem.
Like the difference between diagnosis, I guess, for themselves, because I'm not aware that there's any test. And do you have any, like, in your diagnosis method?
Even my diagnosis, I use a thing called the DAS, which is Depression, Anxiety, Stress Score. So basically that's just how I'm feeling within the last week, you know, and I'm answering a whole bunch of questions, and it adds up the ones for depression, anxiety, stress. And I always think of the depression ones as being low serotonin, the anxiety ones being high glutamate, and the stress ones being high cortisol. So I sort of, you know, and it's just numbers on a page, it is. But I use that as just one of my intake forms with people to get a bit more information. But for people who do want to delve further, you know, I do things like the live blood screening and the oligo scan, so that we get a bit more. Because once again, if heavy metals are high, the neurotransmitters are not going to be working. If minerals are low, we're not going to feel calm and nurtured in our body. So there is that sort of, I will go if people want to get that extra level of information, so we can at least look from a natural perspective where those things are doing. Microbiome testing, omega-3 testing. So there are things that we can send away for as well to sort of see where those are going. But with Hashimoto's and Graves', because they feel so much like anxiety and depression, that's about looking at antibodies that are attacking the thyroid. And doctors won't do that unless they're asked. They won't do it. So we have to, once again, we have to put our first foot forward and say, this is my health, this is what I would like, and find a doctor who will do that for us.
Yeah, okay, because they traditionally, I suppose, anxiety and depression is the same sort of thing with them. They go through a bit of a checklist and questions and
yes,
for you, and then, or just make a judgment basically.
Exactly.
As well, after just talking to you.
Exactly.
And that tends to be the only way that it's done these days.
Yeah.
Natural therapies. So obviously when you go to the doctor, it's all covered under Medicare for most people, or, you know, they get a rebate or whatever. And obviously natural therapies, most of them are not. If you're in a private health fund, I think there are different funds that can cover certain things, but generally speaking, it's not. Is it an expensive thing for people wanting to start out? Like, you know, is it a big thing to do? Is that something you find that people are shy away from?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is, because there's no government support, there's no health fund support anymore. So I was covered by health funds for 23 years, and 2 years ago they took away 19 health funds, 19 natural therapies from health funds. So because of that, it is totally on the consumer, which is a problem. Because natural therapy, ingredients are expensive, it means it is the cost of the supplements, it is the cost of the consultations. Absolutely. So people need to be in a spot where they're able to do that, because many practitioners will allow like 3 to 6 months on the first script. So if you go along for one consult, work out a script, you can easily do those same supplements for 3-6 months and simply like pick them up. If some natural therapists really would want to do that every month, so it just depends on the practice and how they work. But there's nothing legally we have to do there. That's just, it depends on the individual practice. And because I'm always more than happy for people to pick up supplements until they can afford for another consult. But absolutely, it's all on the consumer, unfortunately.
Yeah, I thought it might have been, and I thought that might have been a real reason why people obviously don't go down that path as well.
Yeah.
Makes the GP accessible, whereas it makes other things not always accessible.
Yeah, exactly.
And that in itself can be a problem, I suppose. Okay, well,
Okay.
that's all I have to ask you. Thank you very, very much for your time. Much appreciated.
You are welcome.
There. And I shall be in touch with you.
Okay. Talk soon.
Yeah, we will. I'm just stopping that as my official recording.
Cool.
Okay. If I